Today I'm working on the Mini, which was the first project I bought to practice painting. You might have seen in my earlier videos, but I ended up painting this bonnet. Which one? This one. I think about 6 times to try and get it right, and then I've done the full car apart from this door, so it needs some welding doing just at the bottom. So I'm going to take the door off today, cut that out and weld it up, and then get it ready for paint. Then I might get it painted today depending on weather, but weather's not too cracking, to be honest. So all you've got on this is, I'll turn you around, 2 10mm bolts under there, an 8mm bolt for your wiring in there, then the plug just pulls out, and then a multi-spline on your check strap there, 10mm multi-spline, and then the door just lifts off on pegs then. So that's what we're going to do. We'll get it cut out, get it welded, and I might get it painted today. So let's see. So I've got the door off, which, like I said, it was just some few bolts. I've taken this trim off, and this is what we're left with now. So that seam sealer, I'm going to have to take all that off to the end. I'll just have to seal that up again afterwards. But we're going to cut this outer skin off and cut a piece out the other side, and then hopefully just weld a piece in. But it looks like it's going to start raining any second, and I ain't got a door on my Mini. Could do with the garage, one that I can get stuff in. We'll work it out. Let's go for it. Now I've got the seam sealer off. It looks like this outer skin folds round, and it's just pressed on, so hopefully I can cut the other side out and that'll just pull off, hopefully. So I'll turn the door over and we'll cut the other side out. And there we have it. I just used a little slitting disc, go around the edge, cut around the edge, and then tapped that off, because it just slid on. So this lip here, was just pushed on. So I've cut it out and just tapped it off. You can see where I can slide it on the door, basically, just to knock it off. So now I need to clean these edges up and make a new plate. I've got some steel. From I cut the windows out on the Transporter, which will be in another video on my YouTube. But so I'll use the steel from the Transporter to put a piece in, and then hopefully it's just easy as welding it in, rubbing it down and getting it painted, get a bit of filler on it. So yeah, let's make a new piece. So I've made this panel bigger than the piece I need. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clamp that on there, and then hopefully bend this round so it gives me the lip. And then once I've got a lip on there, I can then cut this down to the size I need then. So we'll see if it works, but here goes.
So as you saw, now it's bent like that. I'm going to now put that on there, fold this over this steel, because that then will give me the return and the correct depth on here that I need for it to slide on. And this is the back piece I'm going to bait in, so then it shouldn't affect the panel at the front. That's that. So I can now cut the lip off to the depth I need and then cut it to shape for what I want. Should be okay, that I think. So now I need to cut that return down to the same as that. There we go. I could now just draw around that, but because I've cleaned this up it might be a bit bigger gap, and I've also got the width of the cutting disc that I've used. So if I cut around that, that is actually a little bit too short, you can see there. So what I'm going to do is make a template and get a nice tight fit, because also the MIG one I've got is actually too big for this sort of work really. So if I get a nice tight fit, I shouldn't burn through. Shouldn't. So we'll make a template and we'll draw it into there. So now I just need to cut round that, and that then should fit perfectly. So I'll cut this out and I'll come back to you. So that's it, roughly cut out. So we'll try it in all now and see how it fits. So I've just scratched a line on there. So I'll go get my glasses now and I'll grind that out to suit that plate, I think now. I think that'll be the easiest way. So I'm quite happy with that fit now. So I'll just remove the plate, put some etching primer at the back, which it's not well-proof primer, but it's all I've got. So we'll prime the back and then we'll get that welded in then. I don't think, to be honest, it's that bad of a fit. Quite pleased with that. So let's get it primed up and then we'll get welded in. And guys, so I've now ground it all back, all the weld back, and I've straightened it up a little bit and then just sanded it back with 80 grit. So it's now ready for filling and painting. It's a nice little, just take. So I think that's good enough now for a bit of filler. It's got the lip round like I showed when I made it, so it's just indented a little bit where the weld is. So I just need to, like I say, a bit of filler in there now and then paint. So I've managed to make a bit of space in gauge because it's throwing it down outside. So I got this off Temu. You can buy proper ones. And what I've done is I've now shaped this to the shape of the door. So what I can do now is just move you down. I'm just going to cross the door can see it hasn't touched any of this area here. So what I'm going to do now is put a load of filler in here, and then we'll go back across again until we get it flat, and then we'll put some, like what they call it, top stop in, which is like a finer filler over top, and then should be ready for painting then. So I'm now going to etch primer the bare metal, and then I'll put some normal primer on, just a rattle can, and then I've got some dry guide. I'll put that on, and then I'll wet and dry it and see if there's any high or low spots. But then what I'm going to have to do, it's a bit of a storm out there today now, which is obvious because I took a car door off. So what I'm going to do is, I think I've got some rattle can red. I'm just going to rattle can bits on this door so I can put it back on overnight, and then might have to paint it maybe Sunday. So it might be a couple of days with just rattle can spots, but at least it'll protect it while it's setting elements out there. So yeah, I'm going to put some etching primer on, and then we'll normal primer, then guide coat. So I can see a couple little marks, pinholes, but I think that will fill with the eyeball primer, but I can't paint it. Yeah, it's really bad. So what I'm going to do is, I've got a little bit in here of the red. I'm going to just dust this on to protect it, because the door's got to go back on the car, and then we'll carry the video on when I rub it back down, and we'll start again from the eyeball primer. But yeah, that's about it for now, because like I said, the pinholes, but I'm sure they'll fill with the eyeball primer. It's now a long time after. I've got the door back off the Mini, and we're now gonna just etch prime. I've rubbed it back down. We're gonna etch prime. I just think I'm on. Etch prime the edges, and then I'm gonna put some eyeball primer on, like I said, because there's some little pin dents in my filler. It's hard to see in here, but. So we're going to eyeball primer it, etch primer bare metal bits, eyeball primer it, and then we'll spray it red and get it back on and see what my repair patch is like. So here goes. So I'm using this eyeball primer. I don't know if it's any better or worse than any others, it's just what my paint shop sells. I'm going to give it a good mix with Paddlon drill, and then we'll get some mix and get it on. So that's the eyeball primer mixed. So we're going to get it on. I don't know really how to set this gun up. It's the cheap one off Temu, but it's alright just putting eyeball primer on, because you've got to rub it down anyway. So we'll see how we go. So that's gone on like Raptor or Stone Chip, but it'll do the job, it'll fill holes. So I'm going to now wet and dry it down with this block, get it nice and smooth, and then we can put the base and clear on them. So I've wet and dried it down now with 600 grit, and then I've scotched under here because we're going to paint underneath here where the repair was done. I'd already primed under here anyway. I've made a tunnel at either end in the masking tape, so I can just blow the paint under, and hopefully there won't be too much of a line then. So I'm going to get the base mixed up, and let's get it painted. Hopefully it'll look alright. got a couple of bits in the paint, I think it's with the gazebo flapping about. So I've just got some 800 for it. Just rub them down a bit. Some more bits there. And I've tack clothed it. But I'm doing the best I can in a flat gazebo basically. So I've got some more base in it. See what it looks like. So that's it lacquered, and I've got to say, this is the first job that's gone proper wrong. I don't know if there's a lot of particles, pollen, something like that in air, but there's loads of bits in it. So I'm going to have to try and flat it off and try and buff them out, or I might have to repaint it. But I'll do that as another video to see if I can rescue it, so it doesn't always go right, or whether it was just good luck before or having, but I'll show you what it looks like. You can see the bits in the reflection. I kept using the tack cloth to get it out, but there's bits everywhere. Now it is windy and gazebo's blowing about, so whether that's the factor that it's blowing about and blowing dust off it, but it's been stored the same as it normally has, I don't know. But we'll have to try and work it out and see how we get on. But that's the worst job I've done. We'll try and get it out. And I'll do a video, see if I can buff it out, or if it needs repainting. If it needs repainting, it's one of them. That's why we're trying to learn. Make mistakes, that's how you learn. So we'll leave it there. I mean, it's a nice reflection, but like I say, needs a lot of sorting out, does that. So we'll leave it there, and we'll do another video on see if I can get it right or not. Thanks for watching, as usual. Come on, watch me make more mistakes. Bye for now.